ladies and gentlemen, it's a chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Starr, and today's guests are Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Yes, thank you very much for having me on. It's a terrible week.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we'll discuss it. And of course, Professor Dan Fleetwood. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Hi, Sasha. Hi, Ken. Good to join you. And I share Ken's sentiments about what a tragic week it's been.
Right.
Yeah, we are. Let's talk about it. Of course, today we are recording it on Friday. We have ahead of us the last round of U.S. Chess Championship, free open section and women's section. The It's exciting finishes. The best scenario couldn't even be as close as to what's actually happening here. But let's talk about Daniel Naroditsky's tragic death, of course. Um, there's hardly any publication, whether on the internet or live presentation, even during this chess championships from St. Louis. Everybody had something to say about this man. I didn't know him personally, but I saw a lot of his commentaries, presentations, streams, and a day ago or so, I saw a huge broadcast on Levitov chess. It's in Russian between Daniel and Vladimir Kramnik, and I felt very disappointed in the Kramnik's bravado of accusing Daniel of not even of cheating, but possible cheating. What he's saying is, okay, I cannot prove 100% that you cheated, but you could cheat. And he was mentioning that, okay, so Danny was using two monitors. And he was saying, and he showed his room on video, okay, here's my first monitor, here's second. So sometimes I'm watching this monitor, sometimes that monitor. And then Kram says, okay, look at this. You're now watching somewhere else, and there is a third monitor. Daniel says, I never use three monitors. It's impractical, it's impossible, and why would I do it, or so on. And Kramnik says, but you could. It's a heartbreaking situation when such a distinguished former world champion, at some point super grandmaster Vladimir Kramnik, could go so low. It's just incredible. So
Yeah, I haven't even taken the time to look at all of these things. I only deal with what I can. So the only thing that I can say definitely is that Kramnik's coming from the point of view of pervasive cheating. Okay, even 25% cheating in Title Tuesdays, as was quoted by Fabiano Caruana. And I can absolutely refute that. But it's important to understand that's the mindset he's coming from.
yeah. Yeah, he's on a crusade. That okay, wow, he was aging, and new super strong players achieved, and obviously internet chess, especially Blitz. Never mind ballot chess. Of course, it was already beyond his capacities, and so
We're
accusing everybody of cheating, because otherwise, how can you defeat a great Kramnik if you are not cheating? That was his position.
whatever. We're talking about Kramnik more than Naroditsky. Naroditsky was a genuinely talented player, with 2,700 level ability and more in blitz chess, and also great popularizer of the game. And he was I think the incumbent New York Times chess columnist, although that was put on pause. Meaning that people had great respect for his ability to write about the game, even in his late teens, early 20s.
I
Yeah,
think he was
profound
also
and
a
deep.
great commentator. He
Yeah,
was. I was watching his commentary, second to none.
yeah, he has a profound and deep understanding for the game and a gift for explaining it clearly, and was well loved by students and his friends.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
Now, I never met nor corresponded with him. So that's,
I was watching his last stream and his last interview. You could see that he was unwell. Clearly, if you compare it to his previous streams and presentations, the last one, interview and the last stream, he was unwell. And of course, he didn't have to resolve the way it did, but he was unwell. Unfortunately, I must admit that's my opinion. Again, it's maybe otherwise there is another point of view, but however. Well, let's see that we will all remember him as a great chess personality, educator, player, streamer, commentator. He was really, really fantastic. And people who knew him personally, they all said that he was a great human being, and it was a joy to be around him.
Yeah, certainly our hearts go out to his friends and family.
Yeah, absolutely.
funeral is this weekend, I think. Yeah. And so
Okay, now let's come back to U.S. Championship, Open
Yes.
and women. So, what the most interesting games would you like?
Well, the let me first review the standings of the championships. Let me share my screen. And by the way, I should note that Naroditsky did play in the U.S. Championship in 2021 when it was back in person, and he defeated Caruana, I think, in a notable game. But the theme I'm going to put for this is, with the exception of Carissa Yip, it's Laisse le vieux temps rouler, let the old times roll, because we have Caruana on top in the open section, and Carissa Yip on top by half a point in the other section, but this includes Irina Krush and Anna Zatansky a half point behind, playing each other. So reminding of a lot of the Anna Zatansky versus Irina Krush matches for the championship a decade or more ago. So in the Open, only two players are in contention. It's can you see the standings now? Fabiano and Wesley So. Caruana is playing Aronian. He has black, so it would be a very tall order to win and clinch first place from there. Wesley So has white against Grigory Oparin, and of course he will try to go for victory in that game.
Well, do you know that Oparin is a coach of Caruana? So I'm pretty sure that Caruana will prepare him for a game against us.
Yeah, it's set up for an exciting finish.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it certainly is. And in the women's section, it is, as I said, it's Carissa at the half point ahead of a big tie. Zatansky only has 6, actually. I thought she was 6.5. So Carissa with 7, but Irina Krush playing Anna Zatansky. And Alice Lee, who had a reverse losing to Zatansky, recently, is still in the mix, as well as Anna Sargsyan, who was the tournament's early leader before she hit a patch of 2 lost games in a row to Carissa Yip and Nazi Paikidze. Paikidze was in the mix until the last round, where she lost a game, and I think is that the game that I've chosen to figure. Nope.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
I'm going to start with the open section, though, where, as I said, old versus new, Caruana versus Abhimanyu Mishra. And this game is interesting for strategic reasons, as well as showing the value of Sitzfleisch, because Caruana literally outlasts Mishra, even though Mishra played well and had the advantage in a knight off that turns now after white's g3, turns to a little bit more of Sveshnik. It's that classic knight off, actually. I shouldn't say Sveshnikov. There's no attack on g5, but still the play revolves around the d5 square. Now,
this is a very old variation.
Yeah, there's an interesting juncture that happens right here with black's rook. So black captures and then plays rook a7. Okay, I mean, the rook had to move. There was no way to block white's queen otherwise. But now the rook is going to make its way back after driving white's queen off, and it turns out the best place to put it is back on the A8 square. Still, this must be book, but it is toward the end of Caruana's knowledge, because Caruana very soon makes a misstep here. Okay.
Ken, excuse me, instead of f4, wouldn't it be prudent to play a5, white?
For white. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure that is in fact what the computer wants to do here. Oh, well, no,
Yeah, I
now the
agree.
computer changed its mind to f4. So, yeah, either move, I'm sure, is fine. Depends on your strategy. But what I note, however, though, is that Fabiano failed to follow through on what I would think was the obvious idea of f4. So, so f4, black plays a5, okay, stopping that plan by white. And now, okay, a knight d2 actually makes a lot of sense too. But here, surely white wants to play f5, right? Knock black's bishop back, take over d5.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the best.
It seems the logical continuation.
I mean, it may be that white is seeing black will play bishop c8 and bishop a6, and black, yeah, will get some counterplay that way. But yeah, it must be logical continuation. Instead, Caruana played knight c4, and now Mishra strikes and gets the advantage with. So this is initiative. So the theme here is there's some latent power of black's bishops, especially on the diagonals going toward a1. So white cannot take black's knight. Okay, well, white does take black's knight. Okay, white cannot take the black pawn after taking the knight.
Right.
So if white captures this pawn, then it's actually let's see, what's the right order? Moves. Yeah, rook c8 first is what puts pressure on white's queen side, and now white can't play b3 because then bishop f6 is very strong, and when white blocks by e5, now pieces are going to come off and white's center falls apart. Okay, so bishop takes c4 and d takes e5 is really strong for black.
Actually, d5 instead of bishop f6, I think d5 would be extremely strong.
D5, yeah, oh, yeah, you're right. D5,
the bishop c5.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you're right. That's
very
even
hard
more
to
strong. Quite right. Yeah, bishop c5, pinning white's queen to the king. I didn't even see
very
that.
hard to meet.
Yep. So, anyways, and that's why rook c8 had that extra threat of guarding the c5 square. Okay, so white has to be careful. So white comes back, and now black plays again. This is nice play, and now here, coming up, is where Mishra turns down the obvious follow-through. So again, you want to play actively with the bishops. So bishop c4. Now, it must be said there are two things about this. Okay, so one of them is that white can sacrifice the queen for rook and bishop. And I don't know. I haven't seen Mishra's commentary about whether he did not want to allow that. But just as a judgment about the resulting position, okay, white has enough material, I mean, for it in a closed position, but white's rooks have no active plan. Black's rook actually has a good square on c8. So, you know, it may take a lot of maneuvering, but black is fine here. The computer says just a slight edge, but you know, just thinking in terms of a vision of the game, white's not really able soon or imminently to undertake anything here. Now, the other thing about this, though, which is where I differ from some commentary that's been made about this move, is that white can play queen d1. And this isn't quite as powerful as it's made out to be. It is opening up the position for the bishops. But white can play this, and now Black doesn't have much better than to take the knight. And this is going to be an interesting judgment call relative to the game position. White is up a pawn, but Black's bishop has a lot of freedom. Okay, so on the other hand, it's going to simplify as well. So I won't say that this is really in any sense a winning idea. White does have to be careful about allowing this move if rooks come off. So Black certainly has enough counterplay.
So, is it your impression that Black was playing for a win this middle game position?
No, I think a draw. And
for a draw?
Yeah. Now, and Black may have judged, Mishra may have judged that White has mobile pawns in this position. On the other hand, Black's bishop is very active. So what Mishra did instead, however, though, is being called a definite misjudgment. Mishra took that knight instead of playing bishop c4. And now, okay, pawns are even, and we have bishops opposite colors, but Black's bishop is blocked in, and Black's d pawn is weak. So, so now there ensues a long period of time, and Black basically is holds the position to near equality for 60 moves. So I'm not going to say in any sense that White is winning, but maybe White has better prospects to play for something. White has a break on e5 that might be a factor, ability to surround and win d4. Black has an open file, but White can block it by bishop c4 if need be. I say White's preponderance is on the king side. Now, what follows is typical of a lot of computer versus computer games or human beings holding on against computer games, where it's a very blocked position with lots of maneuvering. Okay. So I've considered, wondering, is there some vast eternal plan in this position by which White can demonstrate a win? But I just don't think so. I think this is good shifting. But Black does have to guard things on both sides of the board more than White does. Black has to guard against a possible White queen invasion on the queen side, looking way down the road. Black has to guard against White playing e5. Black even has to consider White could possibly play f5 and undermine the h5 pawn. Dan, you might have some other strategies.
No. F5 is what's calling to me. So we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen long correspondence games.
I have.
This. Yeah. So interestingly enough, at this point, Caruana decides to trade queens and go in for that. Now the computer says Black could have held the game just by playing king h6. So maybe this was a little too committal. So now the question is, Black has another weakness, and f5 still retains point. So is White winning here? I don't know. It's half a point advantage, says the computer. Anyway, we move around. White puts the king, so now White doesn't have to guard the c file as much. Okay, and now White blocks. So White is slowly improving the position. Now Black's d pawn really has to be watched, but e5 is never working. Just shift the pieces around here. Like I said,
my principle in playing positions like this in correspondence chess was to attempt to make my opponent bored. And so if the opponent starts to lose interest, then of course they start to lose attention. So
yeah, I always wonder.
But here it's like 3 minutes versus 3 minutes. So at some point, someone's just going to probably break.
Yeah. So if we go back, so at move 56, the position was like that. So question is, has White made progress? Is it like a Towers of Hanoi solution? It takes exponential time, makes slow progress here. So anyway, so now White's ginning up on that, and the computer says king f8 is a mistake. So king h6. So why is king f8 a mistake? Well, now White can finally invade on the queen side, so saith the computer, with bishop a6.
Really?
after the trade of
Ah.
rooks, white's king is coming in. But
Yeah.
why is black's king on h6 better for that? I'm sure there's a lot of mysteries here. Seems like putting the king away makes things worse. But the reason is that black has a retaliation here. Bishop
D3.
h4
Oh,
and
I
king
see.
h5. And the computer judges, I think, that this is enough counterplay. Amazing. I mean,
Wow.
white could even make it past e pawn by playing e5 and winning black's f pawn, but black makes
Yeah,
a
never
queen.
would have seen that.
Yeah. So it's hard to see that when you are playing on increments, I must say.
Yeah.
And black, down to 2 minutes on move 67. So king f8, instinct to guard the queen side, although way back in time. But Caruana doesn't play that. Caruana just sits on the position. Caruana is down to 3 minutes. So now Mishra, this is a good move. Mishra sees his chance. So white had one more chance for bishop a6. That's why he's showing his red moves. And now black has simplified, but white still has considerable initiative here. So I'm not going to criticize any of these moves too much until I reach turn 85. Black is simplifying, but white has trumps. Okay. So here I must say that I would expect white to win the game.
Yeah.
So black's way to hold here is really very, very strange. So black's way to hold here is to set up a very strange discovery, a bayonet. I don't know what you would call it. So
Wow.
yeah. It's this is an incipient discover check. Well, wait a second. White goes here, and white doesn't go there because rook c7 check intercepts it. So the point is that black is going to get a discovery against white's king or against.
That's very clever.
Yeah. And so rook takes g3 check is the immediate threat. So that's the one surefire way Mishra could have held. Now here again, though, black's not yet lost. So I don't know, king h6. These are very hard moves to see with especially with only seconds left. So this looks logical, but now apparently Dennis Montecruso says white is analytically winning from here on. Certainly at the bishop e4, though, that's the case. And black collapsed very soon. So the nice discovered check, white by himself. Black is able to win black the rook, but this is a hopeless 2 pawn down. Bishop's colors ending, and Mishra gave up. So
Brutal.
long game. So as I said, we have that exciting finish teed up. Now wait, let's see. Oops, I thought I had this game already going. So I also want to show Carissa Yip's win over Nazi Paikidze. Okay. So this is an interesting back and forth game until Paikidze has an unfortunate hallucination. So again, Dan, maybe you know more of the theory or strategy of these closed advanced Caro positions.
Yes.
But so the thing is that in this position, there are several ways black can play a5, bishop h7. Paikidze went for a move that's actually come under a bit of a cloud. And if you're white and think your opponent is going to play this, you realize I found a way to get winning chances, as well as a plus 0.6 computer eval. So white has to be happy here because black has a long-term weakness. And so this, I don't know, I'm not going to criticize moves too much here. But there is one strategic point coming up, okay, which is that black captures this, but then black plays an ill-advised move, denuding the king too much. Knight g6 is perfectly fine and solid, okay, and then, white may have trouble guarding the pawn on c5, and black's center is fine. None of the sacrifices on e6 work. But instead she played to d7, a little bit maybe greedily going after the pawn, or maybe thinking she was going to wheel the knight around to f6. But this allows white to strike first. So this is exactly the move that knight g6 would have prevented. Well, she thought she could close lines and block her king, but now white has an enduring initiative on the bad black king side, and the two bishops to boot. Nevertheless, black got back into the game because white, the players still have plenty of time, but she did make a nice square for her knight. And here, actually, white could have just captured on a7 right away. She thought this would be a better way to do so. But there's something that white is forgetting here, both players overlooked, which is that actually the tenor of the king side has changed, so that black now has the advanced pawn and better prospects of an attack on the king side. So white's knight g5 was a little bit too sing-song. Now black gets the center, and it is right here that black can start thinking about playing king h8 and wheeling pieces over to the king side, and maybe even ignoring what white is doing on the queen side. Well, she played rook c8. That can't be thought of as a bad move. Queen e7, and now white actually takes a piece away from. And this is exactly where Paikidze should have played king h8, the most opportune time. White's going to really regret playing bishop e2 now. And it's student body right onto the g file. Even if black's rook on f6 goes somewhere, queen h4 is even going to be a possibility. So instead, however, though, Paikidze had a hallucination. She thought she was uncovering an attack on white's queen that would be important, but she just overlooked that takes b6, knight takes f5 check. I mean, she was short of time, but not that short of time. And if black merely captures on d4, then white just is 2 pawns up, and white retreats the queen to b4, and will be 2 pawns up in a nice position.
Yeah.
So
yeah, nice shot.
So she tried this, and it's all over. So and gave up. So that's how the things were set up in the women's section of the. So Will Carissa, yep. So she plays. So Krush and Zaptansky play each other, and Yip plays. Yip plays not Alice. Oh, Sargsyan plays Alice Lee. So Yip is black against Thalia Cervantes. So again, she has a good chance of winning and making sure there's no playoff on Saturday.
We'll see how it goes. It looks, exciting finishes on both sides.
Right.
Absolutely. Well,
there's one more thing I want to point out. The European Club Cup is also happening in Rhodes, Greece. And let's see. Whoops. What happened? Okay. So actually, this game actually ended. So the top match. Whoops. Okay. So I'm getting a different display. There were two. These, of course, are often corporate-sponsored chess clubs. And one important point is that it's perfectly fine for them to have non-European players, just like British soccer, European soccer. So you have Faustino Oro of Argentina playing, but the game that I want to find, that I had queued up, was between Gukesh and Erigaisi, and the display has changed on me. So I can't find where it is now. So they were playing a game where Gukesh really had a strong advantage and let it slip. So let's see if I just click back at the beginning of it and reload, will it show me that game?
I'll have to look at this one on my own because I've got to drop off. I've got another event starting.
Oh, here it is. Wait, the game is still going on. Yeah, and definite now White is winning. It was Rook and 4 and Knight against Rook and 3 and Bishop, and I thought still real winning chances. So anyway, okay, that's thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you very much for the program today for both of you, and I will see you next week, same place, same time. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'm looking forward to see you again. Bye bye.
Okay.
Yeah. Very best to you both.
Enjoy the
All right.
conference.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.